ready? Yeah. Okay. Well, we're ready, so we'll do it.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the config Europe, and everybody had made name tags, so we repurposed them to introduce ourselves. I'm Zosha, and UX researcher and designer, Washington, DC. And I've been using it since 2018. I use it for everything, and we actually have this slide deck in Figma, which you might not have thought of, so it's kind of fun. And we're going to make a first like team file so everybody can make badges and introduce themselves too. So, and that's my pup, and that's the guy who gets me going outside now. He's keeping from being confined in the house. So, yeah. So, go ahead.
All right.
Go for it.
Hey everyone, I'm Rioni. I'm in Manassas. Yeah, this is my config name tag. I've been a Figma user since 2016. So during the beta, long story short, I found out about Figma through a design podcast called Design Details, which is in the spec.fm organization, I guess you could say. Maybe some of you have heard of them. I was mostly self-taught. I went to school for animation. And then after my first job during the big recession around 2007, I had to find something with any skill set that I had, and that was web design, and never looked back since. I am a big community contributor, and I have one plugin. It does quite well. If you go to my profile, you can go to it here. Once we share this presentation, you can check it out. And that's my family and my dog. My son's 2 years old. And you can ask me about electric vehicles, huge passion of mine, and auto layout in Figma. I like to kind of push the limits of that. So that's me. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. Right, and here we are to the code of conduct, the fun part. But we have a code of conduct, and we just hope that you look over it, and we just basically want to make sure everybody's respected and happy. And if you have any issues that come up with the code of conduct, or you're not happy with something, you can always email us at fof.figma.dc@gmail.com. We made a Gmail for you guys. That's hopefully memorable, but it's out there for you guys. So, and if you can contact us about anything in general. So, all right, let's move on.
Cool.
I think that's good. So this is what we're gonna do now. We're going to say hello to you know, we said it's networking to begin with, so I'm going to take a chance, say hello to everybody. Tell us where you're located, how long you've been using Figma, what kind of projects you like to do, and maybe a fun fact about yourself. So,
yeah, and we haven't been able to test this because you have to have people. But basically, what I'll do in just a minute here, I'll set up these rooms. I'm guessing it just randomly picks people, and we'll run it for like, let's say 10 minutes. And then you'll get a warning before it actually ends. So it's like a couple minutes before it'll give you a warning, and then it should automatically push people back into this main space. I'm hoping this presentation should stay up. That's what makes sense to me, so you guys can refer to the questions. But please, if you guys have issues, let us know in chat. And you can obviously unmute yourselves when you get assigned to the group. So let's give this a try. Number of attendees. We don't have that many, so maybe. All right, let's do 4 people. So we'll make it 10 minutes, and then see you back here in a bit.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. Okay. Okay, so, okay, people join the room. I think we stay here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we could join a room if you want, just to listen. I don't know what'll
Yeah.
happen.
I don't
One
know
join
how
one.
it works. How do you join them out here?
So on the rooms
Oh,
tab
okay.
on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just join. Okay,
Okay, so I'll do one, you and do two?
I'll go 2, yeah. All right, see if I can tool. But I converted it for everyone here. You want to look at it into a Google Doc. So the link is accessible. And I'll do a quick skim of it and you guys can get an idea of what this is. So the way I use this at work is, even for maybe a new designer, this is helpful if they have experience with design tools. But typically I've been using this for someone who messages me on Slack or an email. Maybe they're a new product manager or an engineer and needs to get started. They're like, I need access to Figma. Where do I get this file? Blah, blah, blah. So instead of me like constantly repeating myself in Slack or in an email, I just make sure this covers almost every use case that we have needed so far. And I'll just point them to the link that's in Confluence. That way they can just read it in their own time. And if they have questions, they can reach out. So what I have here, and some of this documentation I've copied from Figma's docs because they just have things that are clearly worded. So I figured, don't reinvent the wheel if it's already there. So getting started, basic sign up. This is a table of contents. So if people want to click, they can go down. How to sign up. My example, we do it through Google. We use G Suite Network. So that's the example that I gave there. Some warnings, like if you sign up with Google, you won't be able to change your email because it's tied to your Google account. And then some other little messaging. And then here, the next thing is requesting access. So what we have is a little message on how to request access. You can reach out to someone, or you can conveniently click this. And what we have is this email is an email group. So at work, it's design@complex.com. That includes all the design team members who have edit permissions, so they can give anyone access to whatever they need. Maybe one of us is on vacation, so it's not always me, because for the longest time, I was the most experienced with Figma and the Figma team owner, but we've all become more comfortable with it. So now it just doesn't have to be me, it could be anyone on the team. And then here's more of the juicy stuff. So taking a tour of the Figma interface, as I put it. So some things I highlight if you're planning to create wireframes, user flows, etc. Go to the bottom. So basically someone who's a designer, or we've had PMs who want to create wireframes themselves. That's been a mixed bag of results because at first they're really excited to try it, but then I think it's more complex than they realize. Like they're expecting that they can kind of use this like balsamic and things like that. So I've had mixed results with that. I'd be curious to know if anyone has had success with that. And then a little warning that I put here, it's a little thing, but I've noticed depending on Figma preferences, a lot of times layout grids are shown by default. And if you're like a PM, an engineer, they might want to see it. But like a PM, they don't want to see that. And they're like, what the heck is this? Over all the designs, and it's really confusing. So I wanted to just put that there and how you turn it off. So the next thing is, this is one of the most helpful things. And that's linked in the presentation as well, or you can get to it through this document. But it's a quick start presentation. And I made this and I published it in the community. So you can get to it by various means. You can find me on Figma. And you can get to it here. And what it is I actually remixed this from someone called Grigori. He made this a long time ago, but it was mostly for developers. And then I noticed it was very outdated because the UI was changing a lot. Some of the hotkeys were wrong, etc. So it's nice that Figma has this remix. It's kind of like rebounding in Dribble, if anyone's used Dribble before. So what I did with that, if I go back here, I can show you very briefly what the presentation is like. So blah, 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 sign up. So what I have essentially is overviewing the main features with screenshots, annotating things, the team browser, how you get to projects. A lot of people ask, how do you get a project showing up in the side nav? Many times they're like, oh, I don't have access to it. It's not on the left side. And then I ask them, well, did you click on the team? And then you'll see the project there. And it's only showing up there because it's start. So it's a little thing that I decided to call out. How to create new files. And then here's navigation. So panning, zooming. You can also pinch to zoom. I can't even tell you how many times a PM, or again, someone who's not familiar with design tools, has asked, how do I zoom out, right? Instinctively, for me, it's like pinch to zoom on my trackpad, or hold space and drag around with my mouse. So I wanted to call that out right away at the top there. Layout grid, and providing shortcuts for Mac and Windows. Styles, etc. Calling out. So these are new screenshots. I had to actually update this like last week, since Figma had config and they launched the new inspect tab. So I had to update the screenshots. Prototyping, always remind people, click that play button. There's things you're going to miss instead of just looking at our design tool. Commenting, you can put GIFs or GIFs, sorry, in Figma in case you didn't know. So you just drag it in or place it, and it won't play on the canvas, but when you play the prototype, it will play. So I wanted to show a little GIF here of me commenting and tagging someone that's on the team. And hey, it's Tyler. And then sharing, different permissions, etc. I don't go into the details. And then observer mode, people always really get a kick out of this, because a lot of times you're like, oh, can you screen share? Or maybe someone's connection is not good. So I always tell them, if you want to, reduce on your bandwidth usage, let's just go into the file together. Just call me on Slack, no video needed, and then click my avatar and you'll follow me around. It's always a better experience if you have the opportunity to do that. And then layers and properties. So this was one I added earlier this year because we were trying to improve our communication with engineers. So I was trying to call out what these different icons mean, calling out how they can copy content, look at visual properties like CSS, component names. So this is a big one because as a viewer, it's like holding Control or Command and clicking on a layer. It clicks to the deepest child in a group as a viewer. You don't double click your way in. You can, but by default, it'll click to the deepest child. So an engineer might miss it if there's a bunch of layers in this alert message component, let's say, and they're not going to see the name of that component instance. So I wanted to call it out with the icons at the top. And now, thankfully, with the new inspect tab, Figma actually shows the very first line what that component name is. It used to be like this, just in a comment, and it wasn't obvious. And then Flexbox, auto layout's really awesome that auto layout actually gets translated to Flexbox. So whatever framework the engineers are using, it can translate a little better. And some more things, export, etc. You can copy text and then, paste it into text editor, in case you didn't know. And then a nice thing that people like, how to get to keyboard shortcuts. So, and my number one thing that I tell people to do, if they're not sure how to do it, is use that search menu. So you can search for anything that Figma can do. It's context aware. So if you're selecting a button or a text layer or multiple things, those options will change. So that's what that guide is. It's been super helpful. And then to go a little deeper, let's say someone who's actually going to edit and create something in Figma. Another huge resource that I'm a big fan of is called Figma Ninja. I can show it to you very quickly. It's a gamified experience, essentially. So you're learning how to use Figma in Figma. It's another Figma inception. So it's all this ninja themed game. Tells you how to activate ninja mode by hiding the UI, jumping to the next page, how to zoom, and it exponentially gets harder. So how to drag, and then creating shapes, creating multiple shapes, level selection. So how to select multiple things. And then it does really interesting things like click on any square you've selected to like deselect, unselecting, and then it gets really hard. So like challenge mode. So for example, delete the red squares in 4 actions. So it's building on the things that you learned on the previous pages, like multi-select, but then maybe a couple hotkeys to quickly do the goal that is for this frame right here. But this is one of my favorites that I've seen so far, simply because it's interactive and you're learning in Figma, and there's a lot of steps to go through. The name Chapter 1, there's never been a Chapter 2. Maybe it's not needed. But last time I asked, they said they were planning on it. But again, I don't think it's needed, especially with the amount of video tutorials and resources that Figma themselves have put out at this point. So again, that's linked in here. And then lastly, I mentioned if people want to jump in really quick, because a lot of the big things that people want to touch on is how to use components. So I just quickly mention it right here at the top in a wireframe kit that I have actually made. And again, it's on my profile if you want to check it out and how to use it. And then I did my best here because you can't embed videos in a Google Doc, but this will link to the Getting Started New to Figma playlist. They do update these periodically. So last time it was updated was July, but this is really good. So if you go through this and everything else, you should definitely be in a good place to start. And then for editors, I have, for example, fonts you need to download, maybe material design icons or whatever icon library that you use, instructions on how to download it. And then I even did a GIF recording of how you can search for an icon and find the name of the one that you want to use. And then not every icon library works this way, but Material does. At work, we use Font Awesome. They work in the same way. So it translates text to glyphs, which is super handy because in components, you can just override the text of what that icon is in a button, let's say, and then change the color, etc. You don't have to swap out an icon component. So we can avoid creating icons in a massive library and just rely on text and with the text style. So the only source that we have is the text style, and that's all you have to worry about. The text style is the font. And then the last part is my recommended plugins that I use a lot. I won't go into these in detail. We'll probably do a future event touching on plugins. And then some other resources, things from the Help Center and their design dictionary, which is really cool. I don't remember when I found out about this, but it's like everything related design, not just like interface design and stuff. So that's really neat if you haven't seen that. How are we doing on time? All right, cool. Sorry, so that's probably the one I'll spend the most time on. Everything else I'll skim kind of through. So again, I went through that. And then Figma Ninja. This is kind of an approach where, like I said earlier, we try to do like a training course. I should say I did. I tried a lot of approaches. The plan was to do like a 1-hour lunch and learn with PMs. The problem at our company, unfortunately, is the velocity that people are working at right now. It's really hard for PMs to dedicate time, unfortunately, for that right now. But if you're interested in this kind of approach, you're welcome to look at this. What I did also was I created a file that would complement this. When we're done with this, I'll make sure that it's linked somewhere. I don't think I have it linked. But the idea was, 5-10 people, maybe 5 people would come in, do the lunch and learn. We would ask for a prerequisite. So if you're coming in brand new, like not even a designer, no design tool experience, it'd be very overwhelming very quickly. The meeting would be interrupted immediately with questions from the start, and people probably wouldn't be able to keep up. So what we did was we asked them before coming to the training session, review the Getting Started guide that I wrote, make sure you have the fonts installed, and then as a beginner exercise, we asked them to go through Figma Ninja because, again, at the time, and I still think it's one of the best resources out there to just quickly get started with hands-on. And then they would be ready. And then I mentioned a few Figma preferences to turn on and off. I still don't know why keyboard zooms to selection is not enabled by default. It's the first thing I always turn on. And then a timeline. So this was for myself, like a lesson plan. So we went through creating shapes, how to manipulate them, changing basic properties like fill and stroke, dragging things. And then I had my wireframe library, which again, you can get access to in my profile. We would show them how to use a component and override text, override the icon, and then a little more complex component like cards. And then ultimately at the end, we would do a little breakout session and people would try for 10 minutes just to recreate like a wireframe that I made using everything they learned. And then there was a Q&A. And then similar resources again, that was in my Getting Started guide. So we didn't have luck with this. Maybe if people at our company had a little more time to dedicate to something like this, but maybe it interests one of you and you can make use of it. Okay, let me close these. And by the way, we'll leave time for Q&A at the end. I'm about to finish soon, so we'll take a break. And then before Zosha goes her part, we can see if there's questions. This was kind of a bonus one. So it's not directly related to Figma, but it's a newer feature that Slack put out earlier this year. Every Slack workspace that I've joined, I've never seen anyone make use of it. And it's just such a powerful feature. There's a lot of use cases. The link in our description, I might need to fix it. Okay, yeah, I'll fix it later. It will point to this. They have like a product landing page for it, essentially. So you can go through different use cases. They have a bunch. The one that I liked the most that made sense to me was, where is it? Automatically welcome new channel members. It's really easy for time 10 minutes, but essentially what you can do is, and I'm going to switch my screen sharing to my desktop so you can see. So this is our complex Slack. Zosha, can you see this? Or can everyone see this just to make sure?
I can see it.
Okay, cool. So if anyone wants to try this out, your workspace name, you click that, Tools, Workflow Builder. It's going to open it up. So I created one. We were expecting at the time some new design team members to join. And like, there's a lot of stuff to cover. We have multiple products at our company. There's a ton of work that's been put into our Figma design system, our component libraries, a lot of stuff, things that you've seen some of a little bit. So when you create one, click next, whatever, but you have templates. So that's what I started with. And then I followed the tutorial. And essentially, it's like a wizard. So the trigger, a new channel member joining, when you edit, it's got these little drop downs with variables. You can change it to be their name or their email. The default is whatever their username is. And then you can tweak the messages. And then, so I provided pin resources. So here, this is our internal URL for the Getting Started guide. So that was one. and then our main like documentation space. And then so I don't fill up the Slack message with tons of messaging and details. I would point them out to a Google Doc that had more details for everything else. And then at the end, also introduce yourself. And then when they're ready, then click continue so it doesn't just give it to you all at once. And then name, share fact, and then maybe some channels that I recommend them joining. So the reason why I mentioned that was because, again, it's another way of me utilizing some automation. So I'm not like spending a ton of time just doing manual work. So check that out if you're interested. It's Workflow Builder. I'll make sure it's linked. Let me leave a quick comment here. It's a link to. Cool. All right. So yeah, that's all for me. Let me stop sharing for a second, and then you can check on any questions. Did you notice any questions, Sosha? What's your favorite plugins? Oh, you guys are just chatting. Content Reel is a good one. One I can't live without right now is contrast. It's a contrast checker. Unlike the others, you can just select one layer and it'll try and automatically detect the background for you instead of trying to select two layers at the same time. And then if I picked one more, Simulator. Simulator is like here. So if I'm in our presentation, you like select two things very briefly, I'll show us. And you search for select all with. So you get all these different ones. But Simulator is like that on steroids. Like you can select things that have the same layer name and are in the same position and have the same text properties. It's saved me tons of time.
You stopped sharing if you want to share your screen of Simulator.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't want to take too much time. But anyways, so if you select multiple things in Figma, you do the search command, you'll start typing select all. You'll see like maybe 5 or 6 options. Simulator, and here I'll write it in the chat. Simulator does like 50 times that. And you can combine things. It is a little resource intensive. So if you're doing something that might select like hundreds of layers, just give it a few seconds. But it saved me tons and tons of time, especially if there's mass changes or if I forgot to make things a component. It's a really good one. Was there any others? Looks like Sosha was on top of it. All right. Sosha, you wanna go? Or did she leave? Okay. I'll stop sharing my video and I will present for you. You have an audio problem? Where am I coming from? Previously Sketch, yeah. I used Sketch for maybe a couple of years. And then I started exploring some other tools. There was one I can't remember that was on Kickstarter, and I gave it a try. I tried Framer, but simply because of the podcast, and I got to know some people at Figma, like Bren from Design Details. And funny story is, because that community got so big in Slack, which is an issue that Figma's having now with the Friends of Figma workspace. You're going to rejoin? Okay, we'll be here. Because the Slack space got so big, they decided to make their own web app, and that's how Spectrum came to be. So I don't know if anyone's clicked on, I can show briefly. If you click the question mark icon in Figma to help, there's an option there called Community Forums, and that points to Spectrum. So that got so big. It's just a few guys, Brandon and Brian, who worked at Facebook, a couple more. It got the attention of GitHub, and now it's owned by GitHub. But Figma thought about using that for their potential option to go away from Slack for that Friends of Figma community, but it's too integrated with GitHub now, and so they're looking for something else. All right, I can hear you now, Zosha. You good?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay,
Yep.
yay. Okay. Yes. Okay.
All right, let me go to yours. All right.
Sorry about that. Tested it so many times, but anyway. Yeah, so this is the part where I talk about what we want to do with the group. And at the end, I'd love to hear about kinds of things you'd like to do, but we have 3 types of ideas of events that we'd like to host. One, guest speakers, of course, and office hours, and show and tell, which I'll explain in a second. Okay, yeah, okay, so guest speakers, just basically to do special topics, and we're hoping to address the latest features and capabilities in Figma, and also inform you about things you might not know about. And this, we'd really like your feedback on, to hear what you want to hear about too.
Yeah, and something I wanted to briefly touch on, we can send a survey out later. It'd be awesome to do it in person eventually, but also I want to give people an opportunity to share their opinion. Maybe if the majority of people want to keep doing it remote, especially since Figma is a web app, we can keep doing that and maybe do in person as kind of a special thing more often. Also, once our office opens up, we have such an awesome space. And my original vision when Figma was using Meetup and I started this group, but we never got a chance to actually follow through with it, was to have some meetups hosted at my company, simply because we were already doing meetups for the engineering community. So, why not do it for design if they're willing to do it? And we had food and drinks and stuff. So that's my hope once we do in person.
Yeah, that's the fun part about in person. But yeah, for the other 2 events, basically planning to host them. Oh, we can go over virtually, because they're working with files that you have. And office hours, the idea is basically just from college days. We'll have an hour open, and you have a problem with your doing something in Figma or need some advice on doing something. Just post your files to the chat and see how people can help you out, if they can give you a clue where to go. And yeah.
And maybe it's not us. Maybe, even with my experience, I might not know how to fix something or solve an issue or address something. And maybe someone that's there doesn't have to just be me. So maybe someone there can also help someone else out. So
yeah, completely group effort. And because sometimes when you're looking up how to solve something, there's always 10 different ways. Maybe there's a faster way or a more intuitive way.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just good to put it out there. So
yeah.
Anyway. And
right.
So we're hoping to do that once a month and see how it goes with that, see how popular it is.
Mm-hmm.
And our last one is show and tell, because we're all working in Figma and we're excited about the things we're doing. So just to come and show off what you've been working on and get feedback on it. Maybe it's, maybe you hear something you want to improve or not. Maybe it's perfect, but yeah, but it's nice to share your work and get feedback. So, and that is our last idea there for these both the office hours and show and tell would be once monthly an hour. And again, we can adjust that based on how popular or not popular they are.
Yeah.
I'm thinking popular.
Yeah, like 1 month we might do one, and then the other month we might do the other. Whatever. It's not set in stone, but we'll get a feeling.
Yeah. But we just want, we had these ideas and wanted your feedback on what you'd be interested in. And that's it for our ideas there. And so we just want you to keep in touch with us. And team invites will be sent out after the event via Bevy. And if you now have any comments or questions or ideas for us, because this group is, it's the kickoff, it's new, so we can go anywhere we want to go with it. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. And these are all linked. So obviously Twitter, Slack workspace, which is the Friends of Figma one. This link points to the invite space, so it should point you to there, and then it'll ask you to sign up. And our channel is location DMV. But just a warning, because there's literally like maybe almost 7,000 members in that workspace, and it's a free workspace, because if Figma would actually upgrade that so the message retention wasn't so limited, it would cost them like $21,000 a month for a Slack workspace. So your messages might disappear within a matter of days. So again, this is why they're looking into other options. But because Spectrum is so integrated with GitHub now, they want to find something else. But I think they're going to go more with a forum approach instead of just a real-time chat thing like Slack. Yeah. Do we want to open it up? If anyone has questions, you can use your mic or ask in chat.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's go for it. Or well, it's up to you guys, but we're here. We're here. Well, if there's any questions or ideas. Oh,
Mike, is that really how it works? Okay, can the option time?
We're so mean. We tell you to talk and you can't talk.
Oh yeah, okay. I can unmute people and make a presenter. So if someone has a question you want to talk, instead of just typing it all out, let me know, and I'll do it right now. Favorite type. Tyler is obsessed with typefaces, people. So if you like typography, connect with Tyler.
Oh,
okay. Let me unmute Johnny. Hold on. Let's see. Presenter mode. Okay. I think you can present now. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, for the ones that don't know me, I'm Johnny. So an idea that we did pre-config San Francisco, and we also did it within our design team at our company. We kind of did like our city, which could be like Figma DC city. So basically, we all jump in one file, and at the same time, we're like kind of like building our houses, headquarters, office, whatever you want.
I've seen that.
So I think it would be great. It would be fun, and it would be great also to kind of like showcase with the communities around the world, kind of like having our own Figma headquarters in DC or DMV area.
Yeah, it's like a guest book. Someone else did that. I don't know if it was Figma themselves that shared it, but I remember like someone tweeted something. But because there's a limit to 50 people. It was hard. You would always have to like refresh and get in, but we don't have that problem. So yeah, people were like making their own little like islands, so making houses and whatever you want to put on there. Yeah, that would be totally cool. I can make a new file for that, and it'll be a blank canvas.
Yeah, and when new members join the group, like just invite them to the city and just like make your own mansion, home, disco, supermarket, whatever you want.
Yep. Yep. It's basically Animal Crossing in Figma.
Basically, disco. Yeah, go Angelina. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah, and we will start out with that badge file, so everybody can kind of put a little bit about themselves out there and say hello and give their background in Figma too.
Yeah.
And add on the house, so, and another file. So there we go. That's
Yeah.
a good way to go.
All right. DC. All right. Thanks. That's a great idea. I'm making the file right now, and I'll put it in a project, so we'll have access to it.
It could even be like to get some motion or traction to just like get like one of these sessions, you know, just like let's build a city. And how we did it at Webflow is like we like created components of like, you know, like door, window, tree, kind of like the basic things. And it would just like people would use those as building blocks to create, you know, people usually were going for mansions, but I mean, just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Maybe I'll just shack on the beach.
If you want to copy some of those components and bring them here to save us time, you're welcome to.
Awesome. Yeah, there were a lot of cats. A lot of cats.
Oh, I'm sure. All right. All right. I'm going to call the project Playground because a couple other projects we have. So I have a dedicated project for presentations, which everyone will have access to. And then I'll have a resources project. So sometimes instead of just sharing a link to a community thing, I might move something there and people can duplicate it from there. Cool. All right. And if you have ideas on the name, you can let us know, or if you want to change it, we can do that. I'm calling it DCHQ and Guestbook right now. Okay. Thank you. Figma Minecraft. Are there some good beginner videos? Yes, Angelina. So in the Getting Started document that I shared, which is linked in the presentation, I can share my screen really quick. If I go back, restart. So this one. So all these titles are linked. I didn't want to underline it because it just didn't look good, but these are linked, hence the little pop-out icon. And then here, so here you can use the outline by Getting Started. And then there'll be, once it loads, so this is just an image, but there's a hyperlink. And then it goes to the New to Figma playlist. So this will cover everything on a high level. So you can start with my quick start guide if you want to, like just a 5-minute intro so you understand the UI before you dive into the details of each of these, or whatever order you want. But yes, it's in that document. Is that good? Cool. Yeah, so to access, just so it's clear again, so Bevy will have an automated email once the event's over. I think it might send it out immediately after. I'm not 100% certain. But after the event, you'll get it. And then it'll ask you for, it's like name, email, something else. And those are the things that we need to invite you to the team. Essentially, it's name and email. Yeah, and then you'll get access to that. So you can look at the presentation.
Yeah, and Angelina, when you get into building your house and just get more into Figma, the more you use it, the more it flows easier. So
yeah, definitely.
So anything else, but yeah. So getting in on these team projects is
You're such a noob.
fun.
Everyone starts somewhere, don't worry.
Yeah. Well, there's so many new things all the time. Everybody's a little bit of a noob too. So So it's nice and it's fun.
Yeah. Any other good ideas for the file name? Mine's kind of meh, DCHQ, I guess, but I'm welcome to do something silly. All right. D-Sigma. That has a nice ring to it. D-Sigma Island. D-Sigma.
Yes, the TM.
Oh, shoot. I don't know how to do that on Windows. Someone tell me. I'll have to look it up. I can do it on my Mac too. I stopped using my Mac. Oh, yeah, copy paste. Duh.
Oh, yeah.
I have to be careful because if I click your message, I can delete it or block you.
Yeah.
I stopped using my MacBook because the one that Tyler and I have, it's an older 2015 model, and like it struggles now for presenting. We have tabs open, not even that many things. Just fans are spinning like crazy. So I have a new PC I invested because I'm also a PC gamer. I love it on Windows. I mean, it's also because my Windows machine's really good. I invested in an Alienware, made my childhood dream come true, if you know what those are. But I think it's really good on Windows.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
That's my opinion too, yeah. Just really different hotkeys in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I got used to it. And I'll swap back and forth. My desk is a little small. It's a corner desk. So with COVID, I got used to standing at work because we have standingness at work. But I don't have space for one of those like table mounted ones because the corner desk is a little narrow with storage on the sides here. You can't see it. So I bought this one. I'll put it in the chat, stand.com. I'm telling everyone about it at work. They have portable ones. They're made to be collapsed. I got the basic birchwood one. You can buy it on Amazon if you want faster shipping. And they come apart and collapse, and you can put it in your backpack. But I just leave mine assembled, and I'll put it under my desk. And when I want to stand, move my keyboard from my Windows PC, and put it on top, and then put my MacBook on. Just make sure you buy the right size for your height, so it'll tell you which size is good for your height. But it's great. It looks a little flimsy because it's really thin, but they're really not. The engineering design of it is really good.
Yeah, you're showing.
Well, we still have time, but
yeah, well, yeah, we put in little buffering zones here. First, but we aren't sure how it would go. Yeah.
We did so well. Thank you. I think it's helped that I watch a lot of streamers, so I'm really into YouTube and Twitch, especially when I'm working. I sometimes have it on in the background. And I play PC games with friends with this headset here, and I communicate with people. So maybe that's why I'm a little more comfortable.
Well, and it's easier with everyone in the chat room. You don't see that you're talking to everyone.
That's very true. Yeah. When this becomes in person, it'll be another story.
Yeah. A more friendly environment. But actually, did run into some technical problems after
It's all good.
practicing, but
yeah. And then when the event's over, I think it sends out a wrap-up email to everyone. And I don't know if attendees get access to the recording. If not, I'll download it, and then we'll set up a YouTube channel, and then we can upload it there. And then be on the lookout for the Figma invite email from Bevy as well.
yeah, just in case you miss anything. But you also have documentation and links, so
yeah. Well, we had people dropping off because
Yeah. So I
chatting now,
think,
but
yeah.
it's all good.
Um,
All right.
I think we'll just, yeah, wrap it up then. But if you have any more ideas, thank you, Johnny, by the way. Just let us know, or if you have any feedback, what kind of things you'd like to learn about, what kind of events, special topic speakers would be excited about.
Yeah.
Let
You
us
guys
know.
got connections. Yeah.
We can
We
get
have
the
all
magic.
those methods. I would say Slack is the least reliable simply because of how many members there are. So try
Yeah.
email and Twitter. All right.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Good night.